You are listening to the CPA MOMS Podcast with Dawn Goldberg, CPA. This is episode number 285, Empowering Working Moms in Male-Dominated Professions. Welcome to the CPA MOMS Podcast, the podcast where busy female accountants who also happen to be moms like you get practical support and solutions you need to have it all, a successful career and a happy family. If you are looking for the solution to overwhelm and mom guilt, if you'd like to feel better and have more balance, as well as learn how to take back control of your life, you've come to the right place. Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to this week's show. As always, I hope you had a great week. Now, I think I've shared this before, but I write out the show notes for this podcast probably like a month or two in advance. And it's always funny to me when I catch up with actually recording the podcast if something that I wrote about a month or two ago actually is relatable to what I'm dealing with right now. So this particular episode is very apropos, and stay to the end because I'm going to share after the summary. I'm going to share exactly what happened to me recently that ties into this episode. Okay, so let's get started with this episode. This is 285, and the title is Empowering Working Moms in Male-Dominated Professions. Now, as of 2020, women accounted for around 50% of all accountants and auditors in the United States. This is according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. However, the percentage of women decreases at higher levels of leadership within accounting firms. And according to a survey by the AICPA, women held only around 23% of CPA firm partner positions in 2020, indicating a significant gender disparity in leadership roles. But in regards to how far we've come as women in the accounting profession, you may not know this. This is really interesting when I was doing the research for this topic. But in the early 20th century, women began challenging societal norms by demonstrating their expertise in accounting, despite the profession being traditionally male-dominated up until that point. Trailblazers like Mary Harris Smith, she was the first woman to hold an executive position at a major accounting firm. And this highlights the courage and the determination of female accountants. And these pioneering women of the time, they have played a major role in breaking down traditional gender barriers within the accounting profession. Their efforts have not only challenged stereotypes, but they've also dismantled biases that have affected women's progress in accounting. Now, thankfully today, more working mothers have the opportunity to pursue successful accounting careers in what was once seen as an exclusively male domain. And let's be honest, we bring much needed, unique perspectives to this profession, showcasing our attention to detail, our effective communication skills, our empathy, and our strong collaboration abilities. See, as accountant moms, we also naturally approach problem solving from a diverse angle. And by leveraging our skills, we not only contribute to the overall success and the growth of the profession, but I, for one, believe that this profession is very lucky to have us. Thank you very much. Okay, so this week, I'm going to discuss overcoming stereotypes and challenges, and I'm going to talk about standing up for yourself. Okay, so the first thing is overcoming stereotypes and challenges. Now, as accountant moms trying to make our way in a male-dominated profession, it can be a bit shocking when we begin to deal with ingrained stereotypes that cast doubt on our capabilities. Now, these stereotypes, they range from outdated beliefs about a woman's commitment to work after becoming a mother to misconceptions regarding our ability to handle the balancing act of accounting responsibilities. Now, I've shared this story many, many times on this podcast, but if you're new to the podcast, let me share it again. I was working at Deloitte in the tax department when I had my first child over 30 years ago. I worked for some very, very supportive male tax partners, and I was truly dedicated to doing the best job I possibly could to honor their faith in me. But then a new tax partner took over the office, and he started treating me quite horribly. Now, at first, I didn't know what was going on, or whether it was because of something I had done or some mistake I had made. But finally, it had gotten to be too much. I just couldn't take it any longer. And I went to him and I asked, what was the problem? And he literally said to me that he wasn't treating me well because I, quote unquote, was taking a job away from a man. I still laugh to this day. But the funny thing is, he wasn't very much older than me, but his bias towards women in the workplace was showcasing a long-term issue. And despite Deloitte being touted in the news at the time as a firm helping women break the glass ceiling, they just didn't realize that the minds they needed to change were within their own four walls. Now, although women's workplace issues have definitely improved over the years, I think we still deal with many unspoken biases. That tax partner at Deloitte was at least arrogant enough to say how he really felt. But unfortunately, there are many assumptions that aren't spoken, but they are still felt by us. And as I said before, I'm going to share what happened to me later. Now, I think it's time that we challenge these assumptions and that we redefine the narrative surrounding accountant moms. In reality, we bring a unique blend of skills, like I said before, to the workplace. You see, we navigate not only complex financial analysis, but also the balancing act of work and family life. Now, no offense, but I do not know too many men in accounting who can balance their careers while also having the pressures that we have of raising a family. Now, if you've ever seen one of those videos where they put this like corset type belt around a man that stimulates the pain that women go through when they have their period, you know how funny it is to see them experiencing just for a few minutes the pain that we experience on a monthly basis for decades of our lives. Now, I think it would be interesting if we could put male accountants through the same simulation and see how they handle accounting work plus taking care of a family. The truth is that addressing stereotypes and addressing unfair assumptions is crucial, not only for the well-being of accountant moms, but also for creating an environment that values diversity and recognizes the various strengths that we each bring to the table. And whether they realize it or not, the accounting profession needs us. In fact, in my experience, the women in my office, no joke, get the most amount of work done. They are the most efficient. They create the least amount of drama, and they know how to handle clients the best. Now, the funny thing is, every single male accountant that we have hired in the past 3, maybe 2 or 3 years has brought more issues than I can even explain, which makes it even more apparent that women in accounting are rock stars. And as I mentioned before, Mary Harris Smith was one of those trailblazers back in the day for women in accounting. During the 19th century, women struggled to enter many professions since most industries did not welcome women employees. And as a result, the accountancy organizations at that time were no exception. In 1895, Charles Fitch Kemp, who was the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, commented, ready for this, that he would rather retire than consider admitting women. But Mary was one determined woman. Love that. Although she had been turned down numerous times, at the advanced age of 75, she reapplied for admittance as a chartered accountant after the Sex Disqualification Removal Act of 1919 was passed. She literally stood by her belief that she should continue her mission to be admitted, as she was not acting for herself, but for all women, for all future generations. And as Mary and many of the women who have come after her can attest, entering and navigating a male-dominated profession like accounting, it continues to bring unique challenges, but hopefully we can begin to pick up where Mary left off. All right, so now I want to talk about standing up for yourself. From tight deadlines and long working hours to the unpredictability of family life, we often find ourselves at both ends of a tug of war that demands our time and our energy and our attention. Now, most of us face challenges not only in managing our roles as accountants and mothers, but also in dealing with societal expectations and workplace norms that may not fully embrace the realities of working moms. I believe that acknowledging these challenges and standing up for ourselves is the first step in creating an environment that works for everyone. But how do we stand up for ourselves? Well, I think the key to empowering ourselves is to focus on building our confidence. Now, unfortunately, we often doubt ourselves because of what society tells us or because of the biases at work. But it's crucial to believe in ourselves and to recognize our own worth. And to be honest, I think confidence is essential for both professional and personal growth, especially in accounting where the pressure and the expectations are high. Having confidence isn't just helpful, it really is necessary. Now, unfortunately, believe me, I get it. Many of us struggle with self-doubt and imposter syndrome. In fact, this is one of the most requested topics that I coach accountant moms on, and it's definitely something that I've struggled with myself. But thankfully, there are simple ways to improve your self-confidence, and it starts with self-awareness. So understanding and acknowledging your strengths and your accomplishments is the first step. As accountant moms, we often downplay our achievements, attributing success to external factors, or we dismiss our own contributions. But by getting clear on your skills inside and outside the office, you can begin to build a stronger foundation of self-confidence. And whether you realize it or not, or you want to admit it or not, you do a lot of things really well. You just need to begin to give yourself credit for it all. And it's also equally important to pay attention to the negative things that you say to yourself about yourself. This, I'm telling you, has a huge impact on your self-confidence. That inner dialogue that whispers self-doubt, it needs to be replaced with more helpful thoughts of competence and capability. So I did an entire episode on mentorship and coaching a few weeks ago, but seeking mentorship and coaching and support networks, this is another powerful strategy. See, connecting with others who have walked the walk, they've walked a similar path, not only provides valuable insights and advice, but it also reinforces the notion that our challenges are universal. We are not alone. Mentorship and coaching offer a roadmap for professional and personal growth. They allow us to learn from others' experiences, to gain valuable perspectives, and most importantly, realize again that we are not alone in our journey. But it's also important to invest in professional development. So as accountants, there are plenty of continuing education opportunities that can often play a pivotal role in helping us to build confidence. You've got workshops and seminars and training programs. These can all be valuable platforms for gaining new knowledge and honing your existing skills, contributing significantly to your self-confidence. And as far as speaking up goes, one of the things that I've learned to do as a working mom over the years is to celebrate myself to myself and then let leadership know. But not in a narcissistic way, that's not what I'm talking about, but more in a, hey, I recognize that I'm doing a great job kind of way. For example, I just had my yearly review a few months ago, and during it, I pointed out everything that I had handled during the year, especially since I had my emergency eye surgery at the beginning of December. Now, I made it a point to explain how valuable I have been despite having to work from home and only having vision in one eye. Now, I didn't assume that they knew my value. I just reminded them of it. So make sure that you know your value first and foremost, and then do not be afraid to speak up about it. I can tell you that this did not come naturally, and I still have some issues with it today. But after decades of watching the assumptions that the men in the office were valuable because they may work more hours than me or stay later than me, I knew I needed to speak up on my own behalf. I also want to add that the old assumption that you have to be seen in the office working later than everyone else, this is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous notion that we have the power to debunk by understanding that the feeling of confidence only ever comes from our thoughts, not from anything outside of us. We can build a level of self-confidence that will empower us in the male-dominated profession of accounting. The truth is that boosting confidence really is an ongoing process, but just make sure that you are recognizing and you're embracing your value. I know the firm I work for is lucky to have me, and I want you to be able to own that as well. Now, just in case you're still hesitant, I get it, about standing up for yourself, Here are a few benefits to consider. Number one, negotiating better opportunities. See, confidence will empower you to advocate for yourself. It'll make it easier to negotiate better opportunities, whether that's a salary increase, a promotion, or asking for more challenging assignments. We need to be willing to request more because we deserve more. Number two is effectively communicating our ideas. You see, confidence will improve your ability to express your thoughts and ideas persuasively, ensuring that your contributions are heard and that they're valued. See, if we want people to listen, we need to not stick our heads in the sand. Number three is navigating professional challenges. In a male-dominated field like accounting, challenges, of course, are inevitable. But with improved self-confidence, you can approach these challenges with resilience, with creativity, and with a proactive mindset. But again, stay to the end because I'm going to share something that literally just happened to me in the past few weeks. Okay, and number four is inspiring others. Now, your confidence will become contagious, I promise, inspiring your colleagues and your teammates to believe in their abilities and to contribute more effectively to the team. I believe that we are socialized as women to not stand up for ourselves. So when one of us has the courage to speak up, we are setting the stage for others to do the same. And lastly, it enhances our leadership presence. And so confidence really is a key component of leadership. And as your self-confidence grows, so does your ability to lead with conviction and to be able to guide others. And let's be honest, we need more effective female leaders in this profession. And so hopefully you can see that building self-confidence, this not only teaches you how to stand up for yourself, but it also creates a more inclusive and a more supportive environment for everyone. I believe the more working moms support each other in a male-dominated profession like accounting, the more we are also setting the tone for future generations of accountant moms. And if no one has told you this lately, your company, your clients, and your families are lucky to have you, my friends. So in summary, by leveraging our skills, we not only contribute to the overall success and growth of the profession, but I, for one, believe that they are very lucky to have us. And finally, by taking a moment to reflect on our skills inside and outside the office, we can build a foundation of self-confidence. Alrighty, that was episode number 285, Empowering Working Moms in Male-Dominated Professions. Okay, so I told you to wait to the end. So here's what happened. I shared with you a few weeks ago that my dog had passed away. And I was just, devastated, obviously. We had woken up in the morning. My husband had woken me up in the middle of the night, actually, said that she wasn't doing well. We had planned to take her to the vet to put her to sleep that morning. And then she wound up, I'm going to cry, she wound up dying at home. And it was, like I shared before, it was really, really tough. But got through that day. I had emailed the director of my office saying, this is what was happening. We had to put my dog down, that I, was going to call out that day, and then I would be in the office the next day. So I go in the next day and I go into, and everybody just, all the women in the office gave me a big hug, and everybody was just so kind and just so supportive of me. And then I went into this male director's office and I went in to say good morning, and he just snapped at me, did you get these extensions done? And I was like, what? Oh, yeah, I don't know what extensions you're talking about. I had done all of my work. So he was very snappy and impatient, and he told me these extensions that hadn't gotten done. And I was like, okay. And they literally took me all of 15 minutes to do. And then he proceeded to completely ignore me for the entire day. So that happened the first day I was back in the office. The second day I was back in the office, same thing. He completely ignored me. So I went up to one of my coworkers and I said, I wonder if I messed something up, right? As women, we think, oh my gosh, I must have done something wrong. So she looked at me and she said, it's not you. And I was like, what do you mean? She said, the morning that you didn't work because your dog died, he came in and he said to me, do you know that Dawn isn't working today? Now, she had no idea why or what or whatever. She's like, no. And he said, I am so annoyed. And I just looked at her. I was like, are you kidding me? So I was so angry. So I just went back to my office and I just took a breath and I was like, okay, let me just calm down. And I think we're socialized to sweep things under the rug. Don't rock the boat. Don't stand up for yourself. Don't confront anybody. But I was just so blown away at the way I was being treated. I was like, that's it. Went into his office and I said, so what's up? You haven't spoken to me in 2 days. And he made some excuse. Oh, no, I'm just working on extensions. And I said, no, that's not it. You were annoyed that I didn't come in. And you have gone around to every single person in this small office and asked them how they were doing, except the person who just lost their dog. You have completely ignored me for 2 days. And he was doubling down. So he just continued to lie. He would not admit what he had said or that he was annoyed at me. So I sat on it over the weekend, talked to my husband about it. My husband was so upset that I was treated this way. I've been with this company for over 20 years. I'm such a hard worker. Like, the last thing I deserved is to be treated this way. So I waited until the following week. I was back in the office on Wednesday. Same thing. He ignores me. Doesn't speak to me. Wait until Thursday. Same thing. Just maybe a few words, but he's completely treating me differently than everybody else. So I sat with it and I was like, you know what? We have an HR department. I really do need to express myself. And I'm telling you, even though I wrote the notes for this podcast and I empower working moms all the time, it still was so hard for me to do it for myself. I kept hearing, like, sweep it under the rug. You shouldn't rock the boat. You should just be happy with what you have. Don't be complaining. And then finally I was just like, no, I have to speak up. And so I wrote to the HR person. I asked if we could have a one-on-one video conference. And she said, no problem. And we did. And I am so incredibly grateful that I did. She was so supportive. She was shocked. And all she kept saying to me is, thank you so much for telling me this. This is not the way that this firm behaves. This is not how we want leadership to behave. And I am so sorry that that happened to you. It should have never happened to you. But I'm telling you, even 5 minutes before having that conversation, I was still doubting myself. Should I say something? What if I get in trouble? Right? I've been in this profession for over 30 years. I'm still playing that old programming that we as women are taught in society, right? The patriarchy is in charge. We're not. And I have to say, it was so liberating to really stand up for myself and to just share with her what happened. I cried a little bit talking about my dog, but she was so supportive. And I said, listen, I really do believe that we've had like sexual harassment training. I really do believe that we need sensitivity training, because I got so much care and concern, and all the women in the office were wonderful, but this person is in charge. He's the director of the office. You're working with human beings. You're not working with robots. She actually agreed and said that she had planned to have sensitivity training after tax season. So this really solidified it for her. But I just wanted to share this story that even I, who teaches you all of this stuff, I still have those old tapes in my head as well. I was also raised to really not speak up and don't be rocking the boat and just be lucky for what you have. But we have to be willing to stand up for ourselves no matter what. If this meeting had not gone well, I really do honestly believe that I still would have been so incredibly proud of myself for pushing myself out of my comfort zone, but speaking up for myself. Like, if I'm not going to stand up for myself, who is? And so I hope that my story empowers you. If you're dealing with a situation that you're uncomfortable talking about, or you're not sure how leadership is going to handle it, you're going to have to trust yourself that no matter what, you're going to be okay. And if you work for a company that would handle something like this, my situation or your situation, horribly, then maybe it's not the company that you should continue working for. That's really how I felt. I was very, very pleased how this woman in HR handled it. But I know that's not always the case. So I just want to empower you to stand up for yourself, and you do that by building confidence. It takes one step at a time, but just know that if you need any support, I am here for it. I am a great listener. If you want, you can always email me at Dawn, DAWN.Goldberg, GOLDBERG, @CPAMoms.com. And if you want to talk about whatever you're dealing with, I'd be happy to listen, believe me. So just know that you've got a lot of support here, okay? So that's my story. Thanks for sticking to the end to hear it. But I really thought it was important to share what literally just happened this last week. And I just had the conversation with the HR person yesterday. And I had written these notes like 2 months ago. So what a coincidence. All right. So have a great week, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like what you heard, be sure to click subscribe on your podcast app so you never miss an episode. At CPA Moms, we pride ourselves on being the e-harmony of the accounting world, making it possible for business owners to have their accounting needs met by amazing CPAs that are moms just like you. Whether you are an accountant interested in growing your own solo mompreneur business, or perhaps you are looking for flexibility to work from home, or maybe you are looking to grow your current firm or team, CPA Moms has what you are looking for. Check us out at cpa-moms.com.